Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Jim Cooper. As you can see from the title on my picture, I was initiated as a Sigma Chi at Penn State in the early 1970s. And today I'm an active member of the New York City Alumni Chapter. The New York City Alumni Chapter initiated SigTalks 2 years ago. And SigTalks are a monthly presentation where we have a Sigma Chi speaker or speakers on a wide variety of topics that are of interest to a wide-ranging audience of Sigma Chi's. We're hoping tonight that we have a lot of undergraduates tuning into the Sig Talk, because this particular talk on transformational leadership is really targeted at undergraduates, although we certainly welcome alumni to be here as well. The reason it's targeted at undergraduates is that you are the potential participants in many of the programs that are going to be discussed tonight. So what we're going to do this evening, we've got two speakers from the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute, Jim Cogdal, and who is the Executive Director, and Caitlin, who is the Associate Director of Marketing Communications for SCLI. We also have a distinguished panel of undergraduates. I'm going to let them introduce themselves as we get to that segment of the talk. These are three undergraduates who have attended the Horizon Huntsman Leadership Summit, as well as numerous Sigma Chi Leadership Institute certificate programs. And they're going to speak firsthand of their experiences in these transformational leadership opportunities that they've taken advantage of. So what we're going to do first, though, is take a look at a video that's been produced that gives a nice overview of the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute and its programs.
College has always been a place to explore, to learn, and to grow. It is a time to discover who you are and to strive towards your goals. But what if you expect more from yourself and of your college experience? What if you could transform yourself into a values-based leader, making a difference in your chapter, on your campus, and for the world? The Sigma Chi Leadership Institute builds essential life and leadership skills for all Sigma Chi's, developing them into transformational leaders. Sigma Chi, through the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute, is the only Greek letter organization to offer certified leadership programming. This allows brothers the ability to earn leadership certificates and potentially transferable college credits throughout their undergraduate years and beyond. Our programs are values-driven. Every brother is challenged to identify and develop their own personal life and leadership goals through award-winning programming delivered online at local chapters and through inspiring, life-changing leadership experiences. Sigma Chi's learn valuable new skills, develop those skills through practice, then apply their knowledge as they advance their leadership abilities. Featuring programming developed with Fortune 500 companies, these skills increase success at college and provide a competitive advantage in the workplace. The Sigma Chi Leadership Institute is funded by Sigma Chi's who have chosen to empower their fellow brothers and supported by a full-time staff and an extensive network of alumni volunteers. As a Sigma Chi transformational leader, you will strive for what is noblest and best, and when the opportunity comes for you to pass along your knowledge in support of the next generation of transformational leaders, Sigma Chi is ready for you to lead the way.
And now I'll turn it over to Jim Cogdal and Caitlin Martin, who are both active members of the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Brother Cooper. On behalf of Sigma Chi Leadership Institute, I am very grateful to be here tonight with Caitlin Martin to really talk about this great new opportunity within Sigma Chi fraternity that is really it's on the launch pad, and it's ready to get out to Jim, as you mentioned, our undergraduate brothers and our alumni. Thank you. I'm a returning alumnus of the New York City Alumni Chapter Circuit, so this is my second time talking and working with all of you, and it's great to be here to talk about what's new and exciting, both in Sigma Chi and Sigma Chi Leadership Institute. And tonight we are here to talk about when I think of the future of Sigma Chi. Tonight we are talking about Staple, that we are hoping will be a long-lasting evolution in member development, not only within Sigma Chi but in the Greek letter world. And Kate is joining me. We call people like Kate and people on our team, we call them Tango Bravos. And that in SCLI talk, that stands for True Believers. And we are building, not only these leadership certificates, but this transformational leader program for all of the true believers out there in Sigma Chi who know and expect more of their experience in a fraternity. The transformational leader program, as you're going to hear tonight from some of our most distinguished participants, is an opportunity for every Sigma Chi. Of course, undergraduates first. That's who we're building and offering for right now. But at some point for alumni as well, to become a better version of themselves. Our dream was, from the minute that you put on your pledge pin to the minute you enter Chapter Eternal. Between those two bookends, Sigma Chi should always offer you a way to better yourself, no matter where you are in your life. We always want to make, give our undergraduates the opportunity to be better consuls, to be better big brothers, better magisters. But as they go into the workplace, better bosses, better teammates, better employees, better significant others, better dads, better brothers. And I think that, the transformational leader program is really, as we grow it over time, going to be the opportunity to, no matter where you are, you have the opportunity to build leadership skills, to fill leadership gaps in your portfolio, in your resume, on your LinkedIn account. Maybe it's when, you're my age and you're transitioning jobs, whatever that looks like. We want to have an opportunity and a resource there for you, so that Sigma Chi, you gave a lifelong commitment to us, and we're giving that right back to you. That's a bond that's reciprocal in terms of leadership education. The Transformational Leader Program, if you have not heard about it, you certainly will hear over the course of the next year, as the fraternity really kind of makes a push to, continue to offer, I would say, a larger volume of opportunities for its undergraduates to engage with its new leadership education. This is really born out of, a very rough year in 2017, where across the Greek landscape, there were many horrible instances of hazing. And really in 2017, we, as an international fraternity, started hearing a lot of questions coming from our higher ed institution partners on the campuses where our chapters resided, asking the question of, what value does Sigma Chi and other fraternities bring to our campus? And it was really then where the Sigma Chi fraternity and the foundation and the Risk Management Foundation, everyone got together and said, we have to do something different. We have to be something better. And it was in that moment that obviously Sigma Chi Leadership Institute was born, to be proactive in the development of our young men. And for so many years, through journey programs and crossroads and choices and some of the officer training, everything was very prescriptive. Everything was very reactive. And this is where we were going to take control of our future and build proactive leadership programming that would make our undergraduates better. And since then, that's exactly what our team of 12 has been doing at Sigma Chi Leadership Institute, and really have put together the pieces of the puzzle for the Transformational Leader Program. And as we enter into this fall, and we're looking at a fall pledge class of going into preparation for brotherhood and ritual for life, that is going to be form the foundation of this entire program. And that's going to be called the Foundational Leadership Certificate. And we're expecting to hear some good news in June that we will become the first ever accredited Greek-affiliated, Greek-related organization in the entire fraternal world. And when that happens, we will also be hosting, Sigma Chi will be hosting the first accredited pledge program in the history of Greek letter programming. And that is saying something, unbelievably pioneering on behalf of Sigma Chi. Because, I think that all of us who pledged Sigma Chi can look back and be able to anecdotally speak about how pledgeship, really kind of made us into the people we are today. But now we're going to be able to prove that through the courses and the programs that we offer our undergraduates. And that's exciting. We have, I think, a very exciting runway here into the summer and the fall of unbelievable experiences that we're going to be able to offer our undergraduates. And I'm going to hand the baton over to Kate because she's marketing it all and doing a phenomenal job at it as well. But between Kroc Transformational Leaders Workshop, Horizons, everything coming, a lot of the communication and marketing that you're going to see on that will come from Kate. So, Kate, I'm going to hand it over to you, and you can get everybody hyped up for all the experiences that a lot of our undergraduate speakers have already gone through and we'll speak to later tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. So like Jim had mentioned, we have a fun and exciting summer coming for Sigma Chi members, starting with the Horizons Huntsman Leadership Summit up at Snowbird, Utah this summer, beginning in June. Session 1 begins in June and has sessions that go through August with session 5. This year at the Horizons Huntsman Leadership Summit, our undergraduate members will be going through the Enduring Leadership Certificate, which is one of the leadership certificates that the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute has been developing over the last 3 years since I've been on staff, much long before I joined staff as well. And we are very much looking forward to this summer at Horizons. So anybody tuning in who is going to Horizons this summer, we have 5 sessions. So session 1 being June 5th through June 12th, session 2 being June 12th through June 19th, session 3, July 3rd through July 10th, session 4, July 10th through July 17th, and then session 5 in August 14th through August 21st. And I know that our undergraduate brothers on the call will speak to their Horizons experience. So I don't want to go in depth to what the Horizons looks like for the undergraduate participants because that is coming soon. In between session 4 and session 5 of Horizons, we will be hosting, or Sigma Chi Fraternity will be hosting Kroc Transformational Leaders Workshop. We are returning back to Bowling Green State University this year, and we are excited to be there from August 2nd through August 6th, where our undergraduate participants will have the opportunity to go through 3 leadership certificate tracks. So one of the tracks will be our Authentic Leadership course, which is rooted in the theory created by Brother Bill George, Authentic Leadership, and focuses on his book, Discovering Your True North. One of the other certificates is called the Servant Leadership Certificate, and this will be the inaugural launch of the Servant Leadership Certificate this summer, and we are very much looking forward to undergraduate participants to being able to go through that certificate as well. And then we will round off our 3 leadership certificate tracks with our values-based leadership certificate. And the values-based leadership certificate really focuses on those values of Sigma Chi and how our undergraduate brothers and our undergraduate participants can internalize the values and make sure that they are living by the values every single day of their lives in decisions that they're going to make, whether that be in their professional realm or their personal realm. So that is what is coming this summer. Like I had mentioned, I know we at the SCLI are excited for this summer. I know our partners over at the Fraternity and Foundation are also very excited for this summer. So we are hoping to see many of you either up at Snowbird for Horizons or over at BGSU for KTLW this summer.
Okay. Thanks very much, Jim and Caitlin, for giving us that overview. What we'd like to do now, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, is to bring on our 3 undergraduates who come from different chapters in different parts of the country. All 3 of them have attended and participated in the Horizons Summit Leadership, as well as several of the SCLI certificate courses. And we're going to ask them some questions about their experiences. To begin with, though, I'd like to ask each of the 3 undergraduates to introduce themselves, their university, their chapter, and I know all 3 of you have been to Horizons. Why don't you please mention 2 or 3 of the SCLI certificate programs that you've participated in as well. So let's get started that way.
Absolutely, I can kick it off. So my name is Ryan Jeffries. I'm a junior at Oklahoma State University, currently studying accounting and finance. Looking forward to my senior year. But as I look back on these last 3 years, man, it's been tremendous to be involved with Sigma Chi the way that I have been. I think think of myself as very lucky. As I was rising through my career as an undergraduate at Sigma Chi, these things were going hand in foot with me, and I just fell in the right place at the right time, honestly. So I've been involved with enduring leadership, authentic leadership, and distance leadership, and that's not the end for me. I look forward to, as much as I can get prior to graduation, and then as Jim mentioned, what's to come as an alumnus and being able to give back, but also receive from Sigma Chi.
Peter, why don't you take it next?
Yeah, I'm Peter Halsey. I'm the consul of the Theta chapter here at Gettysburg College, originally from Mystic, Connecticut. I participated in Horizons this past summer and have served on the operating board since then, which is now the Enduring Leadership Board, as well as Horizons. I participated in distance leadership with Jim Cogdal here last spring in one of its pilot programs, which was just an absolute blast. There are about 8 or 9 of us from the Theta chapter who did it. And we learned a ton, and it was great to learn social styles before heading off to Horizons and really utilizing that to the max, both before and after Horizons.
And Nolan, please jump in.
Yeah, so Nolan White, a recent graduate of Dalhousie University up in Nova Scotia, Canada. I was part of the inaugural Canadian distance leadership class led by Mark Galbo. Then I had the opportunity to actually go to the first Canadian Horizons in Banff, Alberta. We'll talk about that a bit later. And similar to Ryan, stuff kind of just fell into my plate, and I took the opportunities. We both serve as undergrad reps on the SCLI board, and it's really just taking these opportunities, taking these classes, and now as an alumni, hoping to really give back to the undergrads in the same way that I was provided with those spectacular opportunities.
Okay, thanks. So Ryan and Peter and Nolan, I'm going to start with some questions that we have for you as a panel now to get into a little more depth on things that you really came away with from both Horizons and the SCLI programs. And I'm not going to direct the question to any one of you. You can just jump in at any point with your own comments. I'm sure we'll kind of work it out in terms of not talking all over each other. I'm really interested to start with Horizons because personally, I applied for Horizons myself to be a facilitator, and I will be one in the future. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about what you guys experienced there. why don't you start out by just talking a little bit about some of the content of the Horizons program, how it's organized, what happens when you're there?
Absolutely. I don't mind kicking us off again. So Horizons is a week-long leadership summit out in the mountains of Utah. So a lot of work happens during that week, but it doesn't hurt to have that background, that setting when you look out your hotel window or, our breakout rooms where we're at and see those beautiful mountains out in Utah. I had never been to Utah before, so that was kind of my first experience there. So amongst the most important things that were happening inside, there's a lot outside as well. But you find yourself in a big group and a small group with a session leader. I was blessed to have Dan Shaver there with me that week. He was leading the 50, 60 of us that were there. And so we got to learn a lot about ourselves, others, and community through that whole week, and was able to share with the larger group in those breakout sessions. But I think the most important, transformational and sculpting moments happened in the small groups where I was led by Dr. Brandon Gross, one of the best volunteers of Sigma Chi that I've ever met. So that was my overview.
Okay, well, thank you. And now I'll toss out a question where I'd like to hear from all three of you. What did you learn about leadership from your participation in Horizons?
I can start this one. I think the biggest thing I got from Horizons and working in that small group is the importance of teamwork and the importance of relationships. And this is something that both came from Horizons and came from distance leadership, is that you're really not going to get anything done if you don't kind of have that element of trust among your brothers and among the team that you're working with. And so in Horizons, you're constantly being put to the test for any activity you're being put through, and there are going to be curveballs along the way that you're going to have to adapt on the spot. And so really the trust that you put in the brothers around you and the teammates around you is essential to kind of being successful in anything you do throughout Horizons, and then anything you do in the workplace or when you're back on campus. So I'd say relationship building and trust.
Okay. Nolan, how about yourself?
Yeah, pretty interesting here. I actually had the same experience where I had previously served as consul, and while I delegated work, I didn't really trust the people to do that work. So I found, reflecting back after my Horizons experience, that I was micromanaging far too much. But to delegate that work and have the trust, and for me and for everyone really, once you go through something and you fail, that's how you grow and that's how you learn. So to understand that you can give people the best opportunity they have to succeed, but don't be afraid to see them fail. Don't be afraid to then you can provide advice to them afterwards and say, okay, this is what we can do collectively when we encounter this problem again. And really to emphasize what Peter said, that trust and relationships is really at the pinnacle of what makes a team effective and what makes leaders work well together.
Okay, so it sounds like you learned some things about yourself and your own leadership style. How about, how did you benefit from working with Sigma Chi's from other chapters who came from throughout the United States or Canada?
Yeah, so I actually had quite an interesting experience. Rather than having people from all across Canada and the United States, mine was strictly Canadian brothers, and I actually knew quite a few of them before we went, from distance leadership, province conference, and whatnot. What was really interesting to me is that despite this, within the first day or so, because of those aligned values, because we had all gone through that same experience as a Sigma Chi, that everyone gels. As Ryan mentioned, you're in your large group, but you also have your small group with your guide and your facilitator. And really, those relationships form very quickly. And you learn to, play to each other's strengths on a daily basis, but also build up each other's weaknesses. And really to emphasize that it's kind of interesting when you go and you feel, okay, we're going to meet these guys. Yeah, we all came from the same background, but there's not going to be a lot of similarities, but there really are. And I don't know, it's just something special that can't really find anywhere else.
Did you maintain relationships with any of your fellow participants at Horizons?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's actually what I was going to mention, Jim, was I've seen most of the relationships develop, after leaving the mountain. So helping brothers out even to this exact week that we're in right now with their chapters, initiatives, derby days, whatever is going on other campuses, we're able to keep in touch with each other and reach out whatever someone needs. There's probably someone that has the answer to it amongst that group of that cohort of brothers that attended that specific session, but the same goes for other sessions. So that's creating multiple groups of, streamlining communication for raising money for the Huntsman Cancer Institute, to just supporting local chapters with initiatives and ideas that may come up in a chapter meeting that maybe your chapter doesn't know, and you can reach out to one of your brothers there. So I can say I've done that many a time, and I've had that done to me many a time. So it's created such a great streamline of communication. But I'm sure Peter's had the same experience.
Sounds good. Peter,
Yeah.
how did you benefit, Peter, from meeting Sigma Chi's from all over the country?
Well, I think you just get a lot of different perspectives on the problems that your chapter may face. And then you also have the different perspectives as you're facing the challenges of the week. So a lot of us came from chapters of different sizes who had different philanthropic efforts. Some had bigger derby days, some had smallers. And so you really just get this melting pot of ideas. And while it's only 7 guys in your small group, it's still just a fantastic representation of Sigma Chi. And I know SCLI pairs the groups together purposefully. It's not random. It's to benefit each other's strengths. And so that's a really helpful way that everyone learns from the experience, and to make sure that no one's kind of leading the charge in the group or kind of taking over. And that's something that's really key throughout Horizons, that everyone feels like that at some point they're the leader. And then kind of post Horizons, like Ryan said, I'm still in contact with a lot of the guys. We have a group chat, and we text each other about our chapter wins, and we text each other about our chapter losses and kind of how to move forward with them. So it's a support group outside of this chapter, because in your specific chapter, a lot of the guys might look at a problem the similar way because we have this similar experience of being on the same campus. But when you're able to talk to people from Florida, from Minnesota, and from Indiana, you really get a different perspective on a problem, and they may offer a new solution that someone in the chapter hadn't really offered before.
That's great. Sounds like a lot of really lasting benefits that come from attending Horizons. One last question on Horizons. If you had to pick out just one thing in particular that from the Horizons program that changed you or made what the biggest impact for you in terms of what you took away from it, what would you point to as that one thing?
I would say, leadership with respect to Horizons and the things that we focus on there, self, others, and community, starts with one small step. So during your time on the mountain, you're going to spend a good amount of time creating a life quest, is what we call it at Horizons. That helps you literally track, step by step, the things that you can be doing in different buckets of different categories to improve yourself as a leader. And it's completely up to you to decide what those buckets are. There you go. Peter's got it right there. So that has been something I've kept handy, literally hang it up to where I can see it in my bedroom. So using that life quest to remind myself that if ever I'm feeling not like a leader that day, or leadership may come hard, some chapter meeting or an election or judicial board meeting as well. Those are some of the tougher things that we face as members of Sigma Chi. So remembering that it starts with accomplishing one thing, and that has enabled me to also empower others, to remind them that you don't have to wait until you're a consul or a CEO of a company or in the biggest leadership position or in any leadership position to start leading. So you can lead from any spot in the line. And I think that has really what I've gained from Horizons.
Well, that sounds like a great learning and a great takeaway. Peter, Nolan, how about for yourselves?
Yeah, so I like to say that your potential is kind of coinciding with your perception of what your potential is. And I really think Horizons, as Ryan emphasized with that life quest, it really puts in perspective what you actually can achieve and what you have achieved. It allows you to look inwards and really define, okay, what are my most fundamental goals and what are the values that align with those goals? But then branching further, how can I achieve those? And it's a reminder to yourself. I look at mine every now and then when I'm feeling that I'm not aligned, or maybe I'm straying away, life's getting busy, and I don't know, it keeps you grounded, so to speak. But yeah, that was definitely the biggest thing for me.
And
Yeah, I really like the last 2 points that have been made, and I'm trying to figure out what's really been the biggest impact for me. And I think part of it has been the relationships that have come out of it, because they've been essential in the past year of just leadership roles and helping the chapter out. And I think the other part is what Nolan said, is that kind of having that, I know this isn't enduring leadership, but kind of having this leadership based on our values of, because we do sit down and a lot of what we do is evaluate our values and determine how we want to lead based on those values. And I think that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away, is reminding myself that one of my top 5 values is service, and that a lot of what I do is based on my want to help others. And so I think just having those clear-cut values set in front of you and understanding the why behind leadership is really important from Horizons.
Okay. Well, there have been a lot of leadership programs developed over the years, but not too many have a long-lasting impact. And it sounds like Horizons is one of those few exceptional ones that has had a long-lasting positive impact for all 3 of you. Finally, what would you say to the undergraduates who are listening in about how to go about applying to go to Horizons?
I can start this one off, as I was a part of that process. While the application process for this year is closed, I think the next, before you start your application next year, it's really good to just kind of align yourself with the values of Sigma Chi and see how you exemplify those values and kind of figure out how you use those values in your everyday life, because that is what we look for. And I think it's also just important to realize that it is a really competitive program. And so it's not something to just kind of submit, not really thinking about it. You have to take the time, it takes thought. And there are going to be some changes coming to the application, hopefully to make it more inclusive and to make it a little more, just a little better in figuring out who these candidates are. But I think just really put the time and effort into it, and you'll be rewarded.
All right. Well, thanks to all 3 of you for all those comments on Horizons. It definitely sounds like it's an enduring program when it comes to what you take away from it. Let's talk a little bit about SCLI courses as well. You've all attended some of those. You may have encouraged others in your chapter to attend those as well. But talk a little bit about, maybe each one of you perhaps talk about a course that you've been to that's part of the SCLI certificate program, and what the benefit was to you there in that participation.
Yeah, I'd like to start with distance leadership. I think that's always going to hold a special place in my heart, as it was it was the first that I ever did, and I think one of the first offered ever from SCLI. So that was a special time for me and my chapter brothers. But I think the importance of it was how convenient of a time it was. We had just been, everyone, I mean, I think the same goes for Peter and Nolan as well. removed from our campuses due to the pandemic. Whenever that certificate was rolled out, so I can't think of a better time where we needed that, and a lot of us were seeking internships, so that made us a lot more marketable to the folks that were hiring us for a variety of different roles in a variety of different industries. But nonetheless, everyone's working from home, doing exactly what we're doing right now, which is a Zoom call, a video call. So being able to be effective while not being present has been integral for me going forward. And I think that's something that's going to be sticking around the workforce for a while.
Yeah, distance leadership is here to stay, and for you young guys, it's going to be there throughout your careers, both now and once you finish school. Peter, how about yourself? What was a certificate program you attended that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I've also only done distance leadership, so a little bit of a different perspective. We did it last spring, and so I've kind of been able to take what I've learned from that and applied it to the classroom here. While we haven't been learning over Zoom, the lessons from distance leadership are certainly still applicable to a lot of the stuff that I do as a public policy major. And so the communication skills we learn from that and the relationship building skills we learn from that have been integral in my education back here at Gettysburg.
And Nolan, for yourself, what were you able to learn from any of the certificate programs that you could put back to use in your chapter?
So for me, I also only did the distance leadership. But what it really helped me emphasize and bring to the chapter was really a revolutionary way to recruit. And that was headhunting through social media and specifically finding people that tailored to an existing brother and pairing that brother up to build an existing relationship over the summer as that freshman came in. Maybe they had questions about campus, class, the city, etc. But extending further, it really helped me define what leadership was. And I don't know, there's the definition in the curriculum that I look back to often, and it's really the courage to take the action to inspire others. And while it's difficult to define leadership, many people have tried, we really can't. It's all up to your own perception. Once again, we keep coming back to that. And when we think about distance leadership and moving towards in the world and the virtual nature of a class, virtual natures of co-ops, internships, jobs in general, it really is one of those certificates that can propel you forwards. It's the skills that you can put on your LinkedIn, your resume, they really are just so transferable that there's really no better way to say it other than how great the distance leadership certificate is.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing what the fraternity is doing in terms of providing these kind of opportunities for undergraduates like yourself. I know going back, in my day, 50 years ago, we really didn't have anything like this. So it's tremendous that you're taking advantage of it. How are these certificate programs run? Are they done through distance learning? Is it by Zoom? And tell us a little bit about the instructors and the teaching methods.
I think it's very flexible, and I think it's such a great thing that SCLI is doing to make it available in a lot of different ways. From my experience, I've done one completely remotely, not only due to the fact that there was a pandemic, but I think it was a great practice of learning about distance leadership in a distance environment. And then last summer, attended a Kroc Transformational Leadership workshop at our founding site, and I undertook the Authentic Leadership certificate. And that was able, I was coming in as halfway done with my term as pro consul of my chapter, and I had just served in the spring. And as I came out of the semester, I was not happy with the way that I thought I was leading myself in my chapter. So between Horizons and Kroc happening that summer made the difference night and day for me in the fall as I returned to school. I was able to lead my brothers in a different way and give back to the chapter a lot more than I felt like and I felt happier in my role because I felt a lot more authentic with myself and my brothers, and I wasn't just being the pro consul that has to get people in trouble, but I was being, Ryan Jeffries as the pro consul, how I serve that role, because that role can change depending on the person who's in office, and it should, and that was able to help me.
Ryan, was Croc made available to your chapter in terms of a few people that could go? How does that work?
That's a great question, Jim. Croc was available to every single brother in the Sigma Chi fraternity. So we actually brought, I think, the most members we've ever brought to a KTLW workshop, or previously known as Balfour BLTW, whenever that had that sponsorship. So I think we brought 13 brothers with us, and our flights were paid for graciously from the Sigma Chi Foundation and the Sigma Chi fraternity, and that made that a difference for us being able to get some guys from Oklahoma out there to Ohio and experience where this fraternity started, and also see where this fraternity is going.
Terrific. Yeah, and it sounds like all three of you have held leadership positions in your respective chapters. Are you doing things within your chapters to try and encourage more of the brothers to participate in these various opportunities?
Yeah,
someone. Oh, sorry, Peter, you can go.
Oh, thank you. So as one of the undergrad reps on the Horizons board, I was perhaps a little annoying, encouraging our sophomore class to apply to Horizons. And we do have guys going, which is fantastic. But I definitely, when it comes out, when the registration opens for KTLW, I'll definitely be encouraging as much as our exec board to go as they can, as well as our younger guys who may be serving on the exec board in the coming years. And I mean, I've participated in the most programs of SCLI in my chapter, so I constantly talk about it, and will happily educate anyone in my chapter about what the programs are, kind of how they affect you after, and just the advantage they provide you in the workforce.
Is the interest building, would you say? The level of
I think so. Yeah. Coming out of the pandemic, I think guys definitely want to travel. They want to be a part of Sigma Chi. They want to be a part of what it has to offer outside of this chapter. So I think there's definitely interest for it, and I think KTLW is going to be a great way, because it's not as long as Horizons, but it's still just as fantastic. So I am excited for that.
Nolan, any comments on this topic?
Yeah, so initially I simply added it into chapter meeting as a point of business, explained what they were, told people to apply, and really there was no success there. But it's when I really I took the time to sit down with specific people individually, try to do as many as I possibly could, explain not only what the program could offer to them, but why I thought that they were a good fit for that program or that certificate, so to speak, whether that was the enduring leadership, whether that was KTLW, the authentic leadership, or whether it's the Horizons. So yeah, it's really in the preliminary stage, it was about, okay, trying to get that interest. And now it's okay, we have that base. Now it's on those guys to go back and say, all right, this is really a life-changing experience. You guys got to apply.
Yep, that sounds like a good customized approach to each brother. And of course, it is up to them to take the initiative too. Hey, those are the questions we had for you tonight. I'll give you a chance to make a closing remark, but before we do that, I'll ask the audience out there if there are any other questions you'd like to ask any of the three of these fellas. Now's the time.
Yeah, and Jim, while we wait for a question, I'd like to speak a little bit about what's going on around my chapter at Oklahoma State University. So we have realized as a chapter that SCLI is here to stay. This is the future of Sigma Chi. This is the future of Greek life. So we have gone ahead and had elections a couple weeks ago, actually, for the spring. So these officers that are starting in the fall, we've started a new position. It's the SCLI liaison. So that is it starts within our province here, Oklahoma, Arkansas. So reaching out to these chapters that need to know about SCLI. I hope several do already. We haven't officially started yet on that, but we've recently elected a new brother. So he will be traveling from chapter to chapter just to inform our local brothers about that, and we hope that widespreads, to where everyone is in unison on the same page. But outside of that, just a couple months back, as the beginning of the spring semester, we had the leadership journey. It's the first ever offering for a undergraduate chapter of Sigma Chi, and it was essentially an enduring leadership crunched into 3 days. We changed many things to make it more adaptive to our chapter, our brothers that were participating. But this was an excellent, way for our freshman brothers who are just new to Sigma Chi to learn about the opportunities available. So I know that's coming soon to a lot of other chapters, but we're blessed to have it. And at Oklahoma State here, we're doing everything we can to make sure everyone else knows about Sigma Chi Leadership Institute.
Getting the word out sounds like a big part of the work for the next few years, and it sounds like you guys are ahead of the curve for sure. Peter, Nolan, any final remarks you'd like to make?
I'd really just say take any opportunity that crosses your path. You never really know what that opportunity has in store. When I took on and said I would be an undergrad rep, I had no idea that, it brought me down to San Diego in February for a board meeting. And as someone who has never really been to the States or the West Side, really, that was just a great experience. Even though it was 3 days, got to meet a lot of interesting people, got to have interesting discussions with those like-minded, those values. And yeah, just as Ryan mentioned at the start, just constantly trying to better yourself and build.
And Peter, you get the final word.
Yeah, so to build off of Nolan's point, these offerings are something truly special. No other fraternity in America and in Canada really provides the opportunity to undergrads like Sigma Chi does. And once you enter the professional world, these type of executive leadership offerings would probably be thousands of dollars that you had to pay yourself. And so it's really just a one-of-a-kind opportunity to become a better person and to become a better leader and become a better brother. And so just taking advantage of this is so incredibly important because it's there for the grabbing and you just kind of have to go out and get it. And what we're trying to do is make sure that every brother is able to go out and get it. And so I think just the main thing is just take advantage of what's in front of you. You have the option to either sit back or do nothing or really make yourself a better person. And so I just encourage every undergrad to take advantage of SCLI and make yourself a better person.
Very well said. Well, Ryan, Nolan, Peter, you are three brothers we can all be very proud of. And we can't thank you enough for your participation this evening. You really brought things to life. I'd like to turn it over now or back to Jim and Caitlin for any final comments that they would have tonight.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jim. You can't get better marketing than that. I think that Ryan, Peter, Nolan, you guys will be the ones to go recruit new transformational leaders here as we build out all of these programs. And for those of anybody who is listening tonight, I have seen the transformation in all three of them, from where they started, in Consul at Dalhousie, undergraduate brother at Gettysburg, and I feel like a high school senior with Ryan Jeffries emailing randomly, SCLI and Sigma Chi email addresses to become the first ever enrollee into Sigma Chi Leadership Institute. And these are the pioneers of the fraternity that we're going to look back on and say, they carried the torch forward for the Transformational Leader Program and brought Sigma Chi into really uncharted territory in terms of leadership. We're excited to see where they're going to continue to bring us this summer. And again, we have a lot of opportunities out there for everybody. Kroc Transformational Leaders Workshop registration is going to open next week. And that's where we're going to be able to bring more than 800 brothers to Bowling Green State University this summer to go through the 3 tracks. We're going to have a 4th alumni track. If there's alumni on tonight, we're training 250 regional alumni on the Foundational Leadership Certificate to serve as mentors to all of our pledge programs and new initiate programs out there. So if you are interested in serving as a regional alumnus and really in a regional mentor of Sigma Chi Leadership Institute as part of our Facilitator Academy, email me, jim.cogdal@scli.org, and I will find a way to get you involved. As Kate mentioned, we have horizons coming upon us, and what's really exciting is where we are going to finally be able to start to bring some of these certificates out to the undergraduate land, chapter land. And as we build more facilitators, train more facilitators, we'll be able to start to bring these leadership certificates to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, or Stillwater, Oklahoma. And that's when it's going to get really exciting. The more of the 16,000 undergraduates that we can reach, the more transformational leadership we can obviously get going within Sigma Chi, but also all of our campuses and communities. So thank you to everybody for continuing. Half Coop, we'll see both of you as facilitators at workshop this summer. Thank you for continuing to do this and shed light on the unbelievably critical initiatives that the fraternity seems like is rolling out every other month. And just thank everybody for really kind of, the support that you have given and the dedication you have given and will give, because, I've said this and Kate's probably tired of me saying this. If this is going to become the program that we all think it will be and want it to be, it's going to take a fraternity to get it there. And that includes alumni, that includes pledges, that includes undergraduate brothers who are role players and officers. We all need to bring this to, the next evolution of Sigma Chi. So thank you everybody for the time tonight. And we look forward to hopefully seeing alumni and undergraduates alike at some of these events here as we carry out over the summer.
Well, we greatly appreciate everything you said, Jim, and everybody's participation this evening. I think anybody who's listened in has certainly gained a great value in terms of understanding better what transformational leadership, SCLI Horizons is all about. And it really does make us unique as a fraternity in terms of, the opportunities for leadership for young men. So that wraps us up for this evening. We expect to have another SIG Talk in May. Our usual formula is the 3rd Thursday of each month. We encourage everybody to tune in, and we'll be highlighting soon what that May SIG Talk is all about. But this one was terrific. So thank you again, and say good night to everybody.